Good evening, everybody. It's another Monday night with bees all day. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend? I hope so. We had some nice weather this weekend. Had a little bit of rain Saturday night, so everything's growing and jumping around here, including the bees and all the honey. Hey, Bundy. Hey, Clay. Mike T. Jonathan. How's everybody tonight? Hey, Morris. 21st B is not going to be with us tonight. He's got a lot of severe weather going on around him. Misbehaving's on here. How are you? He was the first one on tonight. So, Pennsylvania, how are you? Randy, how are you this evening? Clay, did you find my chairs yet? So, what kind of weather did y'all have this weekend? I know today was 84 degrees. I was in bees this afternoon. Keith, how are you this evening? Roy, how are you? Yeah, I know you forgot to call me. That's why I said something. Ask you if you found my chairs. So next Monday night, I'll make this announcement a little bit later after we get some more people on here. Hey, Kathy. Lots of bee work this weekend. Yep. Well, my bees need honey supers again. So it's been a week and a half since we put honey supers on, and they need more of them. So they're still bringing in nectar. Yeah, the flow is still going. All that rain we had here in the valley, it's not slowing down at all. So tulip poplar's out. It's still producing nectar. Uh, Blackberries are still blooming. That didn't wash out. So clover's starting to pop. So it won't be long. So usually when bees go to clover, the flow is over. So yeah, it's almost June, so it's halfway through the month of May. So we don't have much longer for the flow. So Keith, I saw you where you took some more honey. How much did you get this time? Hey, Danny, how are you? 42 in rain there today. Yeah. My brother, you're in Vermont, right, Mike? I think, yeah, I think you are. My brother said it's great. Going to snow up there this week. Hey, Nancy, how are you this evening? Domestic chores today, peeked under a few bees. Yeah. 40 gallons. That's pretty good so far. Yep. Hey, Rick, how are you this evening? No flow there yet. Huh? You don't have anything blooming up there, Nancy? That's unusual. Here it is almost the end of May. Wow. You must be in a really sheltered area. That or it's never really warmed up there. You may not get a flow or much of one if you get one, if it's that bad. It was here and gone. They used most of it. Okay. Stop what? uh, so who else was in bees this weekend? Anybody? Clay, did you get in yours this weekend? Have you been in your other apiary yet? Hey Dodd. I don't see a lot of people on here yet. All day today, Bill. Yeah. Well, that's what makes it beekeeping fun is when you're in the apiary all day, right? So, yeah. Hey, Dennis, how are you? Yeah, we're going to be dropping cells probably tomorrow. We got 40 cells getting ready to go into mating nukes as well. So, flowing good there. Yeah, that's good, Rick. Rained all weekend. So, Roy, when does your spring actually start up there? Or is it already started? Because I know down here it's almost over. Rain tomorrow night. Yeah, we're supposed to get rain Wednesday night here. Wednesday night into Thursday. So the rain and the cool weather here has helped out. It's kept the flow going. So because it gets cool, nectar drops a little bit, and it comes back when it gets warm. So it started with the cherries. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. Hey, 2B brats, how are you? Steven? Well, your bees ought to be doing pretty good then, aren't they, Roy? This year? Did you have make it through the winter? So I guess a lot of you have heard by now. I'm going to start carrying Hive Live products as well as the strong microbials because they kind of complement each other. And hey, JT, hey, Annie, slow down to a trickle. Okay. Next Monday night, the one of the reps from Hive Live is going to be on here answering questions and going over things and everything like that. Hey, Roy, how are you? Long time no see.
Not bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it going through the speaker, so I was kind of curious. So,
Hey,
no, it was a little rough from
yeah,
coming out of winter. The April took out some weak hives on me, so I only ended up with 21 coming in.
you're breaking up a little bit, Roy. That's better. Oh, now he's gone. He left. He left. Well, it's back to us again. I guess Roy will be back. I hope so. Dwayne, how your bees doing down there in the big city of Newmarket? JT, yours doing good. Looks like I think I saw a comment from you a while ago that they were doing good. That's great. All of them are filling up. That's a good thing. Yeah, I got more honey. I need more honey. Put on more honey supers on ours here. So I'm counting on a good flow this year. So we'll see. See how it goes. Filling up the honey supers. Yep. You'll have. Oh, I hope they fill up those honey supers. All that money you spent, right? David, hey, David, how are you? In the shop, need to replace my tinfoil antenna. Bad connection. Whatever you went on after the second time, Roy, was pretty good. It cleared right up. Yeah, it's a good thing. Drawing all that out. Yep. That is a real good thing. So, yeah, Dennis, it's kind of hard to have a conversation by yourself every now and then. You know what I mean? So, Nancy's going to be shy tonight. David, not much. You're not getting much honey. It won't stop raining. Well, that's the chance we take every year, right? With the weather, we want rain, and then we don't want rain, and then we want rain. So I get it. So yeah. So it's been a kind of a rough week this past week. So all the rain we had a little over 5 inches. So got enough rain to make the crops do well and the hay fields jump, but kind of slowed the bees down a little bit. But like I said, I was in them today, and they were working hard today. Went a little bit of wind blowing, so yeah, it's going to do what it's going to do. Yeah, I figured that. Red Creek Honey, how are you? Rainy, cool weather is back again. Yep. So my brother said it was going to snow in Vermont, so he said they're calling for it. But hoping to break the rain, so it'll be Any day in southern Missouri, we had 30 inches of rain in the last 7 weeks. Man, that's a lot of rain. Hey, Bill, how are you? Larry, evening. No light beaker. James, how are you? Mr. Darren, how are you tonight? So we should be getting ready to go into collection mode here soon, and honey harvest season's coming up. And if some of you aren't already harvesting a little bit like Keith, I think he's doing it at a pretty good way to do it. Don't pull it all at one time. Then you're sitting there looking at all that honey, and then it becomes a chore. So he's doing his chore a little at a time. So do you have any help with that, Keith, or are you doing it all by yourself? Hey, Darren, are you going to want your queens from class? And Clay, do you want yours? Larry, it started over here, and then it just kind of it was on for about a week, and then it rained, and it didn't come back after the rain. So, well, I see why you pull a little at a time, then, Keith. That's probably a smart way to do it. You know? Yeah. So, Larry's wondering what happened to black locust. Yeah, we got a little bit of rain over here in the valley. He lives across one set of mountains from me, and I think they probably got the rain that we got, and it washed it out. And typically, it'll come back for a few days after that, but it didn't. It didn't. But it didn't come back at all. So it just washed it out. The tulip poplar still going strong though. Yeah, 40 gallons is a little bit of honey. Cut out with a vac. Yeah, I would go through there and make sure you get that queen first, and then start vacuuming. I wouldn't do to cut out. I would not just start vacuuming with the vac. All right, so we got a question here. So I'm new to beekeeping. First year started with 3 newts. Thinking of splitting the biggest one, which is too deep full now. I need to move the newt from the original colony. Well, that's a couple schools' thought on that. You want to move it as far away as you can, but still be within your apiary. So that's something to consider, is how much room do you have in your apiary, or is it just a small area for the 3 hives? So that's something to think about. Thank you, Darren. Oh, with no vac. Okay, you still need to find that queen first, and then you need to have your frames there, empty frames, so you can cut the comb out and rubber band it into the frames so that they have something there to go to. When you get a couple of frames in there, you can lay that queen on top of that hive, and they should all go to the top of that hive if you get a few bees on it. So that's one way to do it without a vacuum, and you should be able to get all the bees out that way. Or you can take a little bit of, after you get the queen out, take some honey be gone or honey bandit or honey robber or something like that. Spray a little bit of that in there, and they'll leave. They'll go to the queen that way. What in the world? Let me turn my phone down. It's going crazy. There we go. That's taken care of. You got a lot of tulip poplar over there, Larry? Three acres of property, and I didn't know if it had been 3 miles. I would you can take them for a ride and then bring them back. Um, you can move them 100 yards. Just make sure you plug them up for a little bit and then let them out. You know, if you do a split in the afternoon, move them where you're going to move them to, leave them plugged up, come back later that evening, unplug them, or the next morning, unplug them if it's going to be a cool night, and they'll reorient to that spot. Or if you take them for a ride plugged up, when you bring them back where you're going to set them, you set them, unplug them, and they'll reorient to that spot. So, well, that's a good thing to hear. Yeah, Dwayne, I agree. I get nervous this time of year too. I got nervous this time of year last year because we didn't have much of a flow at all in the spring, and then all of a sudden it hit. So I did pretty good. It finished up pretty good last year. So yeah, Stephen, the bee vac. When you start doing cutouts, the bee vac is one of your best friends. If you don't have that, Honeybee Gone is the other best friend you've got. So, yep. Yeah, I can imagine Stephen doing a cutout in the middle of a deer stand in the middle of 1,000 acres sucked without a bee vac. You know, they do make them that run on a battery too. Only problem is when the battery runs out, you're done, whether you want to be or not. Yep. So it's been some screwy weather this year. I know that. So, I kept hearing all these people talking about seeding clouds, seeding clouds. Oh, they're seeding the clouds. They're seeding the clouds. Well, if they did it, it worked this year. I'll tell you that because it's been nothing but steady rain at least once a week for a while. Yeah, I've got two of them, and I keep one of them on charge all the time. So, and the other one stays fully. It's that way. I've got two of them that are fully charged. That way, all I got to do is switch the vac part of it. Or you can run a 110 cord if you're not out in the middle of nowhere. You run a 110 cord to it, and it'll run while it's charging. So, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about in particular? Hmm? Yeah, we always have good discussions. So, anybody wants to come on in here, come on in here. Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful at all. I don't think Roy's going to come back. I think I scared him off. So I know Larry does cutouts. So I never did get a text from that woman, Larry, that I called you about. What is WeHo, Nancy? Ten cutouts this year so far. The two hey, you're doing well. Well, we've got some new people in here, but everybody's bashful. So nobody wants to join me. Yeah. Eugene Nelson, where is he? I don't know where he's at. I sent out my advertising this afternoon. He's typically on here on Monday nights. He's running late. Charlie's late. And it's still not dark here yet, so I imagine Charlie's probably in his bees. Either that or he took a nap on me like I took on him the other night. So come on in here, JT or Kathy. Let's talk. Oh, Andy. Hey, Andy.
Hey, I didn't figure I'd let you sit there and ask for please for help to come on and chat. So
yeah, it gets a little hard to carry on a conversation with yourself.
I know they have a term for that, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's called floundering.
Hey, Bill.
How you doing? Good enough. Kirk, how are you tonight?
Good. I heard you calling out of desperation.
Yes, exactly. So I've got some more of those vaporizers coming in to me, and I'll send you that third one. Hey, Sandy. Tiny Creek, how are you? Now everybody's starting to come in. So, you been busy, Kirk?
Yeah. So we were just out in the bee yard Friday. So I have someone that comes over and helps me every Friday. And so I had taken my 2.5 hives. I say half because one of them was really dying. And we split the 2 hives into essentially 4 nukes and gave the dying hive new queen. So we went through all of those. I have one hive that's single brood. It's pretty much packed out. No sign of swarming yet, but I think that's coming soon. And I have 4 supers on that hive now.
Well, that's good.
Yep. I've been creating some videos on it, and I show how I have foundationless frames for cut comb. So basically I just take a frame and put a small strip under it for a starter strip.
Yep.
They've drawn out every one of those frames. The caveat of this, I put those between drawn out frames.
Yeah.
And that's working really well. It's amazing how they're drawing out comb. And they're starting to fill those with honey. So that's going to be my main honey producer hive this year. I've really cut down from 15 hives. I'm still recovering from a pretty nasty surgery, and I need to cut down at least, as I recover.
Yeah.
And my helpers have been great. And
well, good.
So that's been amazing.
Yeah.
And the whole thing when I started with the helpers is I need your help, but I can share with you my knowledge. So
there you go.
They don't get paid, but they learn.
They are getting paid with knowledge.
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yep, they're getting a free class, and I'm getting free help.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of a win-win for both of us.
So, Andy, you keep bees down in Texas, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
How are yours doing?
It is game on right now.
Yeah.
Our probably biggest nectaring tree invasive species is the Chinese tallow, and they are full bore right now. You can't put supers on fast enough if your bees are in the right condition. So
real.
course, it's cooking down here right now too. 95, 97 degrees, heat advisories, makes it pretty tough in the bee suit in the middle of the day. But yeah,
Cool.
that'll wrap up mid-June, late June. Just kind of depends what the weather's like for the next few weeks. But there's no forecast of rain of any meaningful value for the next 10 days, it seems like.
Okay.
So,
Hey, at least they're doing well, and you're going to have a honey crop, right?
it would look that way, yes. It would look that way. So
that's a good thing. So,
yeah. We tend to run into the problem occasionally. It seems to have been a little more frequent the past couple of years. They get everything all nicely drawn out, but they don't cap anything off.
I've been experiencing that the last couple of years.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully they'll get with the plan. I don't know if that's just because the humidity levels are so high here. I don't know if they just can't ever get ahead of it or what.
I don't know. I got a lot of capped honey right now. All the first 2 or first 3 supers are all capped.
Oh, wow.
Everything above that is still open. So I got 2 hives that have 4 supers.
Oh, wow.
Everybody else is at 3. So, and everybody needs supers again.
Right.
So,
Do you run mediums or deeps for your
mediums? I run a double deep brood box. I've switched over to a double deep brood box this year, and all medium honey supers above a queen excluder.
Yeah.
So
I have a little bit of both, simply because when I was in the yard yesterday, all I had at my disposal were deeps. So the boxes that needed more just got deeps. Works out. I'll get some drawn lights out of the deal. So
right, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm running out of drawn comb.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dwayne's got a good suggestion to dry your honey. He said just put a fan on top of it, and after you pull it, it'll get it down to 17. So
good idea.
Yeah, or you can put a dehumidifier in the room as well.
Yeah, we did a whole class on how to set up a small dehumidifier inside a deep and set your supers on top of that and then vent that so that it can pull the moisture through it. So, yeah, I guess it's been a bigger problem than I recognized after saying that. So when you got to have a class, it tends to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, it does. So, but we've been pretty lucky. Most everything we pull, except for maybe 1-2 frames out of a super, they're all capped.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
People in the central U.S. are going to have a rough time tonight. I hope all their supers are battened down.
Yep. I hope they are too. 21st bee was going to come on, but he can't come on because of the bad weather out there. He said there's tornadoes popping everywhere.
Yeah.
What is a hand crank Amish bee vac, Eugene? I've never heard of that at all.
I don't know. It sounds like it would be tiring.
It does. Sounds like a 3 or 4 man operation.
Get enough cranks around there to get a vacuum, man, and do it consistently.
Yeah. So you having any problems up there, Kirk? At all?
Yeah. Oops. Just touched the wrong button on my phone here. There we go. No, not really. Actually, I really don't even want to say this out loud, but I'm barely even seeing a hive beetle. I should have never said that.
No, you shouldn't.
No. And the funny thing is my hives are in the shade in a wooded area. The only thing, so it's funny, I'm creating a video right now on evicting ants. So I do have carpenter ants living up in the top cover.
Mm.
I insulate my covers in the winter, and I insulate it with about what's it, about a 2-inch foam, that pink stuff you get at the big box stores, and I just
Yeah.
leave it in there all summer because it keeps the heat off the cover too. And this year, carpenter ants have made a nest in the foam. So I literally just plucked out the foam and put it in a garbage bag and then put it in the sun to basically cook the ants.
Mm-hmm.
And I find ants really aren't a problem for the bees. I joke about it a lot. I say ants are a problem for the beekeeper, not for the bees.
Yeah.
They can be a little freaky when they're running all over the place. But I find that if you bang them off the cover a couple times, they usually disappear.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not going into my shed or my house and they're going off into the woods somewhere, but who knows where they end up going. But I've heard people using cinnamon and things like that. And I tried that one year, and every time the wind blew, it rained, the cinnamon was gone. And then one day I was watching the ants walk right across it. I was like, well, that's a big waste of money.
Yeah. Waste of
I,
time, waste of money.
yeah,
Yep.
the main thing, just knock them off. They'll disappear. I hear some areas really have nasty ants. I mean, the ones we
Fire
have,
ants. Yeah.
yeah, we don't really have those in Connecticut, and so we get carpenter ants. They're big and ugly, and they'll chew up your wood and things like that.
Yeah, we got carpenter ants here too, and they will tear something up.
Yeah, I tend not to see them eating boxes so much, but they do like to go in the upper cover, and they will show up in my screen bottom boards because I use the sample trays. I leave them in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't clean those things out, I start getting all kinds of things growing in there. Because
Hmm.
you think of it, you're collecting pollen, wax cappings, even honey dripping or nectar dripping and stuff. And if you leave that stuff long enough, something will start growing in there. So they're
Well,
great for learning purposes, and people, and especially new beekeepers that can't stay out of their hives. I tell them, I said, go with screen bottom boards. I said, you can pull these things out. You can do that every day. Stay out of the hive. Look at your sample boards. You can see them bringing in pollen. You can see mites. If the mites are really bad, you'll start seeing them in the bottom board, in that sample board. And then I tell people, this whole thing of making them sticky and all that, it's absolutely not necessary. I don't put anything on them. Uh, they will naturally get sticky just from the things that are dropping down from the hive.
Yep.
And I went to help out a beekeeper that was spraying cooking oil on them or whatever. I'm like, what a mess.
Hmm.
And I told her, I said, I don't put anything on mine, and there's all kinds of things stuck to it. So it was funny. About a year ago, I put a note out on Facebook about that. Wow, that was like, the arguments between Republicans and Democrats. It's like, geez.
Yeah, it's like blasphemy.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
people were like, "What are you, stupid?" It's like, I'm just trying to suggest to you that you may not need to put anything on there.
Yeah. It's not worth getting involved in the
Nope,
argument. After
nope.
you say something like that, just kind of walk away and leave it.
I have tried to stay away from Facebook as much as possible lately because it's like, wow, you want to talk about a group of opinions?
Yeah, right behind the mosquito, I think our state insect is the fire ant.
Yeah.
And we don't see a lot of problems really with them. That background noise will go away in a minute.
Oh, that's probably me.
But we do see them build in the yard around them, right? And so that's usually where the frustration comes from. You stepped in it and didn't realize it, and then you think you're lit up. So,
Yeah.
but we don't see them in the hive too much. We're like more likely to see hive beetles if you keep your bees in the shade, and at least for us, and tree roaches. They like that little sliver of space right above the lid and the inner cover. So
Yeah.
So one thing that could be helping me out is I don't use pollen patties, and I find that a lot of beekeepers will overuse them, and basically they get infested with hive beetles because they're feeding them.
yeah,
So if you're using pollen patties, use them sparingly. You know, your bees need to clean those things out of there within a day or two.
right.
And if you start seeing larvae in your pollen patties, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Hey, DC.
give a third if that. If they take that, then put some more on it.
Getting dark outside. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork now.
There you go. And coming out of winter, I I definitely want to feed weak hives, but I don't want to overfeed. And I see, I'm still connected on Facebook. I listen to the chats, or I look at what's going on. And the experienced people are telling them feed pollen patties, putting all kinds of stuff on there. And then these new inexperienced beekeepers are like, my bees are gone. Well, yeah, you brought them up so fast in the springtime and they swarmed, and now you're struggling with a beehive that has half the hive in it, and they've gone backwards quite a ways.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Kirk. When we talk to people, we tell them three things before the conversation's over. Then we close it up with one more: join a bee club, join a bee club, join a bee club. Right. But after that, because YouTube and other things, there's just so much of it. The two pieces of guidance we try to give them is where are they and why do they keep bees? Right? Because their logic for things will be very different than somebody that's doing it in their backyard.
That's the very first question I asked the first night of class.
Yep,
Why are
and
you
and
here, and why do you want to be a beekeeper?
Yeah,
and I'm the backyard guy.
right.
I kind of dabbled into making a small business out of it, and you know, beekeeping. If you can keep your bees alive, it grows, and it
Right.
Mhm.
grows fast.
Yeah, it does.
But the business part was, if you can't handle all of those extra bees, sell them.
Hey,
You know,
Kirk,
sell
can
nukes.
you
Oh,
speak up or put the mic a little bit closer?
here's my mic here. I'm sorry. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doc,
I
can
just
you hear him
using
better
this little.
now?
Yeah, I'm just using this little earphone thing. But yeah, I'm trying to tell people, treat it like a business. If you have too many bees that you don't have equipment and all that, buy the cardboard boxes and sell the nukes. It costs you a little money to buy some of that, but you sure can recover it. And you know, I think it's almost everywhere, but here in the Northeast, you have no problem selling nukes. They
Yeah,
go
we don't have
fast.
any problem selling nukes here either.
Yeah. And then honey, that was a slow venture for me. It took me a couple years to get established, and now I can't produce enough. Uh, and being a backyard beekeeper, I'm limited. I can't go crazy. 15 hives was really pushing it. But I produced over 450 pounds with that, and it made a pretty good income between the nukes and the honey that I was actually to make a profit without, counting my hours or anything like that. I think if anybody counted their hours in beekeeping, that's a whole other story.
Doesn't work.
No,
No, it doesn't.
it's farming at its worst.
Yeah.
Yep.
put a
Well,
lot of
farming's
hours in.
you're not going to get rich being a farmer either. Trust me.
No, you gotta have a passion for that.
Yeah, you gotta like to play in the dirt.
Yeah. But if you're just looking at how much you're spending and what you're taking in for income, you can actually do all right with beekeeping because at least the area I'm in, I can get a pretty good price for it, and I try not to actually gouge my customers. I try to be reasonable with it, and I can't compete with Costco or a lot of the grocery stores.
Well, you
But
don't have to, right?
no, I don't. And I don't know if you guys all have Whole Foods. Whole Foods is one of these,
Yep, we do.
organic places, and they charge a premium for. So I stay a little under their price, but I'm higher than most of the grocery stores. So I'm priced at a good place, and all this publicity about bad honey and stuff, man, that's selling honey like crazy for me.
Yeah, it will. The other thing that's kind of happening is the USDA and the FDA are cracking down on imported honey.
Yep.
They're making it go through a testing, and if they can't find the pollen, they don't let it in the country.
I thought that was a
Yeah.
bill that was being presented. I didn't think that was happening yet.
Well, the FDA is already doing it.
Oh.
I can tell you that they are doing it.
So Um, I'll be honest with you. Over half of my customers want the honey because of allergies.
Yeah.
And the question I really have is how much pollen is really in honey? Because they're storing the pollen in cells to feed the bees and things like that, but they're typically not mixing the pollen into the honey. The honey's probably, or the pollen's probably just getting in there by um, I guess just from it being surrounded by it. But
Well,
but
you
they don't.
got to figure a bee covered with pollen will walk over the frame or walk over the frame with pollen sacks full and drop grains of pollen all over the place.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, I definitely believe there's trace amounts of it and things like that. But I think to help someone's allergies, I'm like, you really need to maybe think about taking pollen, you know, as putting it in your cereal or something like that.
well,
I'm not.
there is enough pollen in there in the honey to help because you can send a sample of honey and have it tested, and they can tell you exactly what pollen grains are in it and where they came from.
Yep. Okay. I have heard that. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Kirk, you might check with UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio, Dr. Oscourt. He's got a whole honey lab and goes around talking about the medicinal value of honey, and
yep.
has tested all of the Manuka honey and even the what's the honey from bug pea?
Spotted lanternfly.
Yeah, spotted lanternfly, and
Yep.
that actually has a lot of medicinal value in it.
Oh
Ironically,
yeah, there's tons of information about that.
yeah,
And I have customers that are coming to me and they're telling me all the medicinal uses of it. I kind of chuckle. I'm like, yay, you know what? Go for it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it on my label that it's going to cure anything for you, but
Nope, not at
No.
all.
but you can make those claims.
Yeah, because when you put that on your label, now you've gone into a whole
Oh
different
yeah,
realm.
not touching that.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying raw honey. That's
Right.
a
That's what you
fact.
have to say.
Yeah.
So,
I
like Virginia Tech has a whole pollen lab, and they have a library of pollen grains from every known plant in just about every country, and they'll look for it, and they'll look it up in the library and tell you where that pollen grain is from, what kind of plant it's from, and how many of the grains are in that honey sample. And there's two ladies here in one of them's in Eastern Virginia, one of them's in South Central Virginia that do that as well as a service for the beekeepers. So they have the electron microscopes to do it.
Hey, this is for everybody listening, but did anybody get a little package from someone? And I'd have to dig up the package. It's over here in my mail somewhere, where it was a little test kit for testing your honey. And it was testing for, I want to say, trace elements of the fake stuff being in your honey. And I didn't do anything with it. It's more of a curiosity to me or anything. But I wonder how many people actually got this thing in the mail.
It's hard to say.
I didn't get one, but I'd be interested to know where it came from if you happen to
I
find
would
it.
be too.
All right, I'm going to block my camera for a few minutes because I'm gonna set my phone down. I'll tell you about it. Hold on.
Okay.
You guys keep chatting.
Because I didn't think they had a stick test for honey yet.
I didn't either. They got stick tests for everything else, so it would make sense
Right.
that they'd come up with one. So
Yeah. I guess if you're looking for very particular items like cane sugar or molasses or something like that, I
yeah,
guess you can test for those.
yeah. But how much honey you think you're going to get this year?
Oh, I don't know. We'll probably get 300 or 400 pounds.
Yeah, I'm shooting for 1,500. So
Oh, wow. Well, if I get 1,500, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to call it a happy problem and call in sick to work for a few more days.
there you go. But the problem is, see, you got to deal with the boss, right?
Yeah. We'll see how much longer that lasts.
So I found the mail, and it came from. I'm gonna try my camera. Let's see if this shows up. Can you see that?
Nope. No, you're too close.
Too close.
Now you're
Too far.
What's it say?
So it's spelled OLEXA Lab Team. And then they gave me this little kit, and it apparently has 5 test strips in it, and it's active honey test. Let's see where this place is from.
They are out of. They're out of Europe somewhere.
Oh wow,
Spain.
Wow.
They're from Spain.
How the hell did they
Really?
find me?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably Facebook at work then.
Yeah, that's Tarragona. They're out of Tarragona, Spain.
Wow, that's interesting. So
I just looked them up on the web.
yeah, it's in multiple languages. I
Yep.
recognize German, probably Spanish. I'm not sure what some of the other languages are, but
Spanish.
I'll have to remember that. I'm going to Appomondia this year, so I'm sure they might be there if they have some test strip thing they're
Yeah,
trying to market.
yeah,
I'm sure they might.
guess I should probably do something and give them some feedback.
Hey, Mike.
So what they're telling you to do is to test your own honey and see how it comes up. God, if my honey came up with fake stuff in it, I'd be really concerned.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I guess the
Going right at
directions,
your hive.
I guess the directions with the strip, Kirk, will tell you good, bad. So the rubric is there to answer the
Yeah.
result. Okay.
Here, I'm going to try again. The glare is probably going to kill everything here. Can you see any of that?
I see a QR code though, but
Yeah, there's a little kit they put in there, and it has, 3 different colors, and it'll say active or no activity. Oh, you know what it's testing is enzymes. That's what it is.
I just
Enzyme.
posted the link to the website.
Okay, enzyme activity. So no activity, active, in active normal, active high. So, I'm really interested to do this because I kind of tout that I do not heat my honey and I don't evaporate my honey. And I wonder how that stands against, other honeys that either evaporated or heat it to process it. I, I know I'm tooting my own whistle here, but people tell me my honey tastes different in a good way. But
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of that to whatever plants are in our area too.
Yeah, I wonder if you just got on their mail list somehow and ended up with that letter. Because for Europe, that's a really big deal for them, right? They've been going through this for
Yeah,
decades now, trying to clean that up.
it is
That's
funny
interesting.
on the envelope. There's nothing but my address.
Huh.
Um,
You signed up for something somewhere and didn't know.
Right.
I was trying to grow my YouTube and I was doing it the wrong way. I'll share that. But I was on Facebook and I started advertising my channel and I joined some Facebook groups that were bigger. United States, beekeepers or something like that. I actually got off of these things because there was just so much garbage on there. But all of a sudden, I was getting all of these solicitations from all around the world. And I was getting people from, Nicaragua that want to work at my bee farm and stuff. I'm like, guys, I do this in my backyard. So I backed out of all of those groups and I started, blocking some of these people. I left some of the people from the other countries on there. They were totally legit. But there was a lot of stuff that started showing up on my Facebook ID.
Yeah.
And I suspect that's how they found me.
Yeah.
Hey, Highland.
It was tough. I was getting some of these people contacting me that make bee suits. Now there's two sides to that. Yeah, you can get them from outside the country, you can get them cheap, or you could get totally scammed. And
But there's a catch to that. Okay. You have to order, a minimum order is 50 bee
oh
suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the part I keep trying to tell these people. I'm like, guys, I'm really small.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't want to be sending money to someone I have no idea who they are and find out that I just threw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That can happen.
Yeah.
That can happen very easily.
I mean, I definitely understand you can get some really cheap stuff outside the country, but I hear that might be coming to an end pretty soon.
Yeah, every day's a new day. You never know.
Yeah,
You're right.
every day there's something in the
Anything
news.
can happen at any time.
Yep.
So, and if it does, well, I guess we're all back to coveralls and straw hats, right?
Yeah. Hey, we really got tested with COVID a few years ago. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, I'm supposed to have a new insulated hive this week.
Oh,
It's a polypropylene hive.
who's it from?
I knew you would ask me that. Shouldn't have started with that. Polyethylene. Sorry, not polypropylene, polyethylene. And it flat packs and it slides together. Supposed to have it on the 21st.
So, my same question: who's it from?
Yeah, it's out of, ironically, I believe it's out of Greece.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But they only do a 10 frame.
Of course.
What
Yeah.
kind of wall thickness is it?
Supposed to be R6. So it's I I assume it's kind of squishy a little bit.
Gotta be hollow.
No, it's not hollow.
No, it's
No.
solid.
It's solid. But the interesting part, if it holds up, is it flat packs. So it's easy to move around and ship and that kind of thing. So I have
Yeah.
some interest in that.
And
But
easy to store.
it could be easy to store, absolutely. It'll all
Yeah.
depend on how easy it is to clean propolis off of the corners when they've propolised it all together.
Yeah,
But
that's the issue.
yeah, because it's kind of got a finger, tongue groove finger kind of thing, rounded edge on one side and then the opposite on the other, so it slides together. And
Yeah.
then the lid's in the top and the lid slides open. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm supposed to have it on the 21st, but
So is it Hive IQ?
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
That's polystyrene.
Yeah. But it's tight.
Yes.
There's some substance to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
I've
Now,
got one. I've got a
you could
Hive
probably put
IQ
the fork
Hive.
through it, but yeah. I mean, if you worked at it hard enough, you could still put the forks of the forklift through it, but
Oh, I'm sure.
But
So I know that several years back, Dant had a hive like that, what you're talking about. And it was about 1.5 to 2 inches thick. And it slid together. And you use glue on it as well.
yeah, this is not that thick. This is only going to be about 3/4 of an inch thick. And the only
Okay.
reason it caught my attention is I have some principles in this insulated space. One of them is it has to be able to integrate with somebody's woodenware.
Yep.
It can't be a wholesale shift. And
Right.
when I was first walking by and looking at it, I got up close with it at ABF this year, and I thought, oh, that's just another polystyrene hive. So I kept on walking by, and then he was taking it down that afternoon from the event, and it's like, wait a minute, you're taking that apart? Let me see this.
Yeah,
And I said,
really.
I'll buy it and take it from you. And we were all ready to do the deal, and he had forgot that he sold it to somebody else earlier in the day. It's like, oh, okay. So we finally managed to get one here. So it's taking a little while. But
So it fits standard Langstroth?
yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And it's only 10 frame?
Only 10 frame.
Damn.
Well, let's see what it looks like. There may be some room to push them because that mold might be a little less expensive to make.
I'm
Then
still interested in the other ones that we talked about.
yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of them. I did manage to get a hold of them, and what they quoted me for shipping to the U.S. was ridiculous.
Yeah. Huh.
But
Yeah, the only reason that I was even thinking about the other ones that you had found or mentioned was because we could get it in an 8 frame and in a 6 frame version. The new
they have
collection.
a 6 frame version. They don't have an 8 frame version.
I thought they had an 8 frame as well.
They have an 8 frame feeder, but they don't have an 8 frame box. And then have you seen this? These comes from the same people, Bill.
Yeah.
It's a Langstroth frame.
It folds down.
Yep. So you can cut
Huh.
foundation to put in it, or you can wire it and put your own wax in it. But these are intended to go in a queen castle. So I have a 10 frame box from them that holds 8 queen mating positions, all insulated. And this is one cavity.
Huh.
So Pretty interesting utility that they have for some of their stuff.
Yeah, really. No. DC said they need to make those for cut comb.
Well, it's a pretty big piece of cut comb. Cut it in half.
Cut it in half. You could do cut comb in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cut it in half and it would work for cut comb.
Yeah. You get 6 pieces out of that.
Yeah.
I tell you, for cut comb, my simplest thing is just a bare frame with that starter strip. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that,
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
and it's cheap.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
All I do is I take that frame, I lay it on a clean Queen excluder over a tub. I have one of those cutters, but I don't cut with it. I just mark the square, and then I take a kitchen knife and cut the squares out, and it comes out clean as can be. And
Huh.
and the thing is, I found out that people want to pay a premium for that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do.
I had, my price. I was selling $20 for a 4x4 square. I mean, it's a good chunk of honey.
Yep.
And I had a guy came over and he bought 5 of them. I went, oh my God. And then he calls me up a couple of weeks later and is like, do you have any more? I'm like, I only had 10 pieces.
Wow.
So that's why I put put a lot of frames in there this year, because I had a lot of demand even after I sold it all.
DC can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Try this again.
That's interesting. I can hear him fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just basically saying that, I got that comb cutter I mark it with, and then I cut it out with a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
But once you get your name out there, it's amazing how the honey sells. But it was hard to start.
Did you enjoy your nap, Charlie?
A nap?
I figured you were taking a nap on me like I took one on you Friday night.
No, they're still out there putting hay away.
Really? Oh, you were baling hay.
Yeah, I text you. Didn't you
Oh,
get?
I didn't get it.
I told you I was hauling hay. It'd be late.
Let me
Hey,
see if I got
Andy,
it. I don't
Jack
think I
the nap.
did. But
Mike. Let's see, DC. And there's Pete.
yeah,
What,
there's a lot of
Norman?
people in here tonight.
What did Norman say? Specialty attracts special people. Had a warlock show up asking for bee bread for his magic spells.
Who's asking what?
Norman's post. Specialty attracts special people.
You talk about special uses. I had a guy that
Hey, Mike.
this guy wanted beeswax to waterproof his pants.
Okay.
And I just kind of went, okay, how much do you need?
Not here to judge.
No, not at
No?
all.
No?
Buy away. But I'm thinking to myself, I have gotten beeswax in cloth, and you can't get the damn stuff out afterwards.
No, you can't. And I mean, I've got partially ventilated, and then the rest of the gauntlet on when I wear the leather gloves is canvas.
Hey, Roy.
And yeah, you get wax or propolis on that, it's there forever. You can't get it out. So I've tried everything to get it out. I can't
Yeah,
get it out.
I switched to the nitrile gloves. The only problem is, man, you sweating those things in the summertime.
Yeah, you pull them off and you dump a swimming pool out of them.
Oh, I mean, all you gotta do is lift your hand up and water's running out. It's kind of gross,
Yep.
but at the end you just peel them off.
Yep. That's it. That's all you can do. I'm getting so now. If it's hot outside, I don't wear gloves.
Yeah, I've tried that a couple times and just wasn't a
Forget that.
fan of touching the bees.
Yeah.
I
You
do it
mean-
all day with nitrile gloves on, but
Yep. So, Andy, if you get a chance tomorrow, give me a call tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, let me see what the day looks like.
All
It
right.
may be after 5, but we'll see.
That's fine.
As far as getting, I don't know about propolis. I know wax use what's it called, cleaning soda or something like that.
Yeah.
Arm and Hammer soda, or
Baking soda.
is it baking soda?
Yeah.
Or no, it's used for cleaning.
So
Bill,
did
I'm
you
going
get
to
any
duck out. I've got to head out. I'm up at the store. I need to go home and see the wife for a little while.
Yeah, you better go talk to the boss, see if you can get some
Yeah.
time off.
Exactly. Well, that one too. All right. See you guys later. Thanks for letting me participate.
Yeah, man. Anytime, Andy. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I was in bees this afternoon, and they're all doing good. I need to put some supers on this week. So it's been a week and a half since I put supers on. They need more. So as long as they're filling them up, I'm gonna keep putting them on.
hey, Charlie, I saw your video on the queen rearing.
Yeah, pure it's baking soda. That's what
Mhm.
yeah,
Did your queens hatch yet or emerge?
Thursday.
Thursday, okay. And I heard you were using 2-frame mating nukes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get anything stocked. I was hoping to do that today and tomorrow, and I bailed 76 round bales today, and I got the rest of the field to do tomorrow. And before the rain hits, and the rain's going to hit on Wednesday, and possibly a little bit diminished percentage on Thursday. So I don't really care about the cells. The cells can stay in there an extra day or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, but you know, hatching virgins, I want to mark them and then cage them, and I got to feed them right away.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, I was watching Ryan, Bill, over there on the other side of the mountain,
Yep.
Sourwood.
Yep.
He had a cell builder, and he had it. I guess you call his queens were banked.
Yep.
They were virgins, but they were on top of a queen excluder just in case there was. I mean, if you got a virgin queen in the bottom, he can get through the queen excluder, I would think. But,
Yeah, it can.
you know, but he had JZBZ's, the orange strip with the holes.
Mm-hmm.
He had his virgin queens in there with no attendants getting fed. And then he had, I think they're easy peasy cages, the square ones
Mm-hmm.
from Nobby.
Yep.
And he liked the idea of you put the cell in there, keep it in that hive, and then when she hatches, they get attention right away as far as feeding from the bees.
Yeah.
And he says, I think, or his opinion was that uh, that he said, look at this big queen. It looks like it's almost mated or whatever. Well, it could be possibly just the queen itself, but that the period of where they come out in an incubator, and by the time I'll say discover them and feed them, and you're not, I don't know. I found like you can take crystallized honey and just kind of put a little bit of a dab on the bottom of that, let's say a hair roller cage. And, sometimes they get fed. Sometimes they don't get fed. I don't think they get fed as well as I mean, they can feed themselves, but not sure how well they get fed.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the main thing is if I could get them, if it's raining or misty or whatever, if I go out there at the mill tomorrow and I got this right here, where the distance up above this is about 3¼ inches.
Yep.
So if I make a shim 3½ inches tall,
Yep.
and I put the queen excluder on my 5-frame nuke, put this on top of the queen excluder, and then I have my virgins in these cages here marked, then they would come up and feed them for me. And that would buy me until the weekend, 2 or 3 days.
You got to be careful how close you put that to the active queen.
Well, this will be a cell builder. That would be my nuke cell builder that doesn't have a queen at all in it.
Okay, because if you bank queens in an active hive,
Queen right hive.
Cause that a queen right hive. It will cause that hive to swarm.
Swarm, or will they try to kill the? Or
They'll try. It's one of the two. They'll either try to kill every virgin in there, or they will swarm.
I was concerned about killing the virgin and all. DC's got a thing that has those cages.
DC, are you talking about curler cages?
So Charlie,
Well,
you have them in.
I think he's getting things mixed.
You have them in the curler cages right now, right?
They're in the curler cages in the incubator. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be okay in there, and you just need keep that plug on the top. They'll stay in there.
Yeah, you can leave them in there, in those curler cages, and if you put them in a hive, they will feed them. They will take care of them.
Because when I was doing my queens, I was putting those curler cages around the cell and letting them hatch into there.
See, Norman's got the same problem I got.
Yeah.
The darn weather's coming in at the wrong time.
Yeah,
it is.
That's
just like last week's video where I did the video about my grafting. It was rain 2 days prior to that, and I mean heavy rain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had that one day that the sun came out, great day for videoing, and a day for me to be able to get them cells out of there and get them back into the incubator and all that. So it worked out fine.
Yeah. So see, we've got 40 cells going in that we need to put in mating nukes so they can hatch out and go mate. But the problem is, in half of those hives, I've got 20 queens that are laying up right now. We're evaluating patterns, and it's going to cut them short. So the weather's coming in the wrong time. We're supposed to get rain Wednesday night and into Thursday morning.
Yeah, rain here is 90% on Wednesday, 50% showers on Thursday.
Yeah.
20% on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday looks great. Of Of course, I don't know what holiday it is that they're trying to promote. I guess it's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
But so there I am. You know, it's like, okay, I want to be able to. It's like, okay, if I put them in these, mark them, put them in this, give them a little bit of food just to get them by, and if I can carry this out and set it on top of that queen excluder on that cell builder
Yep. With that shim on it.
with that shim on it,
Yep.
and maybe harvest if I get enough chances, harvest some nurse bees and dump on them
Yeah.
just for good measure. And that way we can wait till Saturday afternoon. And I can start. I got some hives out through there. I'm gonna release the darn queens right into them.
So to answer your question, DC, once you graft and they draw the cells and cap them, as long as you have the cell base that the curler that goes in the top of the curler cage, then yes, you can leave them in the curler cages and they will take care of them.
Yeah, the hair roller, the JZBZ cup will fit in that hole in the top.
Yes.
And usually there's a little bit of wax around that edge, not so much the cell itself, but over waxing from the bees.
Yeah.
That it kind of gives it a snug fit
It does.
and all. But now I've been looking at these easy peasy cages. They're the ones that are square and you can snap them to a JZBZ cell bar.
Yes.
And you can put, if you got 15 of them, you can put 15 cages right on the cell bar. They also make a contraption to put in like a medium or a deep frame to bank. So you put those cages in a banking frame. But the only problem is they want $20 for them darn things. And, you know, I'm like,
yeah,
I think I can take and make that out of a piece of wood a lot cheaper than that.
But that's a good way to keep your queenless cell builders going. That way you don't have to tear it down and start all over again.
What do you mean, Bill?
If you're not grafting on a regular basis, you should tear that cell builder down when you're done. When you pull those frames, you should really tear that cell builder down so you don't demoralize those bees down there in the cell builder. Give them a chance to be part of the hive again and to work with the queen. And then when you're ready to graft again, you split it apart again. Because if you leave it that way, you demoralize those bees and you drop grafts in there, they're not going to do anything with them.
Yeah, I think after a while, though, your bees get old. The one thing about, you might want to bring up the next question DC's got there. As far as a finisher, what you need is a regular hive. Put a queen excluder over top of your queen. If it's a 2-box hive, put the queen in the bottom box, put the queen excluder on, put your unfinished cap cells. All right, if you grafting is day 1, they will cap in day 6. So you could take, I would wait at least 2 days, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
And take that out very carefully because it's highly fragile, and put that in a queen right hive where the queen is in the bottom, queen excluder, and then put that along some brood frames, open brood, closed brood, so that once they do that, the bees will finish the cells out.
Yeah, they will.
And all that. DC, that's where you have a cell builder hive and a cell finisher hive.
Your hive.
Two
But
different.
you can use that cell builder to be the finisher and never take them out until they're capped.
Right. And that's what I do. I have a cell builder hive, and I've been thinking about this, you know, for argumentative purposes with some folks. They'll say, the cells cap at 9 days. I says, are you on the queen biological timeline? Or are you on the grafting biological timeline?
Yeah.
It's
And then
the
they
difference,
look at you like, what do you mean?
right? Well, there was another guy here. I was listening to him. Some guy in the Carolinas. He had some things about cell builders, and he worked as a commercial guy too. And he stated the same thing I state. Cells are capped in 6 days
Yep.
because you don't count, my argument that I haven't always thought about here recently was they'll say it caps at 9. I said, oh, you got the queen to lay an egg in your JZBZ cup, and that's what it amounts to.
I
Or
saw
you,
someone that was trying to do a test on that. And
well, my question to everybody is, you'll go in a while, it'll lay in 3 days and this. I said, you can't sit there and tell me you can look at an egg and know within plus or minus 2 hours how old that egg is. There ain't no way you can do that. Not going out to a hive in your backyard and looking at it. Now,
Right.
if you want to make a timing box up, you can be within so many hours of it. But anyway, it just my biggest thing now is I got, so many queens hatching, so many queens being capped. I need to do a switcheroo here. The reason I put, like I said in the video, you got 2 cells hanging down here like that. They will put webbing in between the 2. If you leave it to term, meaning they cap in 6 days, and you want to leave it in there for another 5, so you can take the cell out 2 days prior to the hatching and put it in a mating box.
Right.
You're going to have to get a razor blade out, and you're going to have to saw ever so careful. And then you're still going to break the darn cell. I can tell you that right now because I've done it. And I did that 2 times in a row. And I said, all right, I'm done. We're going to make an incubator up somehow. And that's why I got what I got.
So I'm looking at your queen banking frames from JZBZ.
Easy peasy.
No, JZBZ for the queen cages with the tube on them. It'll hold up to 92.
Bring them up. So let's look at them. Share it. Present.
Let me increase the size of it here a little bit.
I didn't even know that. Where's that? Just from JZBZ?
No. So it's from Honey Run Apiaries,
Yeah.
850.
Yeah, but is that the frame or what is that? Frame?
That's everything. That's the frame and everything. See, the bar fits into that frame right there.
Mm-hmm.
It'll fit 92 of them. Right there's the wording. It's a medium frame, and you can get it'll fit in both medium and deep boxes. 6 1/4 inch frame.
It does include the 2 plastic storage bars. Does not.
But does not include the queen cages or the queens. So let's see. Stop screen. There we go. We're back.
So what you need to look up is easy peasy, easy peasy, easy peasy .buzz.
.buzz.
.buzz. Easy peasy beekeeping equipment.
Yeah. So they have the square cages, like you were talking about, that snap in.
They snap on the JZBZ frames. You see how
Yep.
they do that. But now what gets me is,
And that frame is $20.
what frame are you looking at now? Oh yeah, you're talking about the
Yeah.
banking frame.
Yep. The banking frame. Yes.
But the problem of it is, if you go to medium, see, to do mediums, it's going to cost you $40.
Yep. You're right.
And that's a little bit much, I think.
Yep. It is.
And
When you can get a medium for $8.50.
well, it's a different type of cage too.
Yeah.
Well, what I was interested in is that if they show, click on, let's see, queen cages. Let's see if we can get out of here. How do you do that? Present what? With image, a video file?
You share screen. Unless you got a file.
See that?
No. Let's see. Add to
You have to
state.
click that. See how
Yeah.
they snap on to the
Yeah. They snap on the cell. The
yeah,
cup.
they snap on that bar there, that JZBZ bar. That's the bars that I use.
Oh, okay.
They're plastic bars. I don't like the wooden ones because they glue them down so much. Where I can pull those cap cells off of JZBZ, they just pull right off. And the thing of it is, if I got two of these, will I have enough room to be able to put cages like that around that on a cell bar on a medium frame? That looks like to me, it definitely has to be a deep and all that. So anyway, I was looking at, looking and buying I like the system per se. I do like the idea of putting the cap queen cells in the cell builder and letting them hatch in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to have to be more, I guess you would say, experienced than
Yeah.
I'm going to have to try different things and see how they work and all that.
Yep.
So that's what I was kind of getting at. And but then I also, like I say, then you go back to the situation where if I continue popping them out, I have more control. If I put them in an incubator, I can mark them, which that's what I want to do. I can put them in this cage. I can put them on one of these bars, lay them in. If I need to, I can lay them into that cell builder hive, like I was just saying, and that's a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah. Or you can get the orange boxes
Yeah, you get the battery boxes.
that hold 20 and just put them in that and lay it right over on its side. And you can do a shorter shim, lay it over on its side, and they'll go right in, and then
Or just fill them up with bees.
it'll fill up with bees.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to transport them anywhere, all you do is you go in and you just close it up, and you got queens and nurse bees. Put a piece of sponge in there that's wet, and drop a little bit of fondant in there, and they'll feed them.
Fondant or make my own queen candy up, which I think is better than the fondant.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of thought about too. So, I mean, I was talking to my friend up in Pennsylvania. They're about 2.5 hours away, and he does about 40 cells a week. And even as good as he is, he had a rogue queen get in there and wipe out 30 of them or so. I told him, I said, they can smell that hive, that they know it's not queen right, and they'll go right to them.
Yep, they will.
And I said, you need to get people have told me, you take a queen excluder, I guess a plastic one, cut it and make a entrance block for that. Now, I've often had ones where I've put the queen excluder underneath the box on a screen bottom board, so they have to go in and up through the queen excluder that way.
Yeah.
And that seems to work too.
Yeah.
And all. Hey, Rodney. Pennsylvania. But
Yeah.
some of the things that I have been, queen rearing, I gotten to this point now, it creates other problems.
Yeah.
Because
other things that you see, okay, well, I can do the cell builder and I can do the grafting, but now how am I going to get these things bred?
well, it's not so much that is if you look at it to where you've grafted, now you've got queens.
Yep.
And then you got to get them bred. You got to make boxes for that. But then in the turn, you don't want to lag in the beginning stages of grafting again. So you want to keep grafting because you want to keep a constant flow.
Yep.
And once you start this flow, you got to keep up with it, whether the weather likes it or not.
Yep.
How's Phil doing? What you doing there, Phil? You grafting outside, are you?
I'm moving bees tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to show you it's hard to move bees this time of year down here because it's so warm. Let me see.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
Let's see if I can turn my camera on. Let's see here. Settings, camera. It might be too dark to show you what I want to show you. I'll turn my light on if I have to. I don't know if y'all can see that.
Yeah.
I got to move this hive, but look, you see the entrance there?
Yeah, they're hanging out.
Got to move that hive. There's a lot of bees. Yeah. So I can probably smoke them back in.
Maybe.
But we got them strapped. And let me turn my light on so you can see. I'm probably going to get stung doing this.
Yeah, give them a target. Give them a good target.
It's right on my forehead.
Well, you got a moving
So anyway,
you got a nice moving screen here.
yeah, I got a moving screen. Yeah. But
Smoke them down.
but yeah, I got to figure out how to get these in the entrance.
Well, just smoke them in as best as possible, and then staple a piece of hardware cloth there.
A screen, yeah. Yeah, I got my screen and my cutters right over there. I tell you what, a couple of these, like that one and this one, they have screen bottom boards. I'm not too worried. I can probably use duct tape those. This one has an old cheap solid bottom board. I'll probably need to screen it. They all got screen on the top, and they'll be open on the top. And I'm only going like 20 miles. It's not that far. But we'll be all right. I'm moving. I got them strapped shut, ready to go. Know where those bees are going. Oh wait, those do have two entrances.
I'll
I
tell you
gotta
the
remember they got two entrances.
the best thing that I seen was down at Bill's place. He put robin screens on there and closed all the entrances up, and you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't have any robin screens though.
Yeah, you have to mix them right quick.
You can make them really good, really quick.
Bees over there have quite a few hanging out.
Yeah, but you could take a robin screen. All you'd have to do is 3/4 inch, make a frame, out of 3/4 inch sticks, and then just
Cover it with hardware cloth.
cover the hardware cloth and staple it in, and then just put it up against the front there. They may be hanging out, but they'll be in behind it, and then put some screws into the box.
Yeah. There's no duct tape involved that way.
Sun's
Oh.
out.
On my light out. That's what. Yeah, it looks lighter on your camera than it really is. Oh well, I'll come out here at about 9 o'clock and maybe there'll be a few more in. I might light my smoker and run them in. I've moved them before in this weather, but
It's 20 minutes to 10 right now.
well, it's
is
20
it?
minutes to 9 here.
Yeah. If we were to stay on air and watch him do this, we're going to be in here until after midnight.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I've got going on.
So George out of Iowa says use a freshwater sprayer to simulate rain at sunrise.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That is a good idea. Thanks for that tip. I might do that. I might fill my little pump sprayer with clean water and just spray them and let them run back in.
Just don't run out.
Take you put your sprinkler system on and
There
spread
you go. It's raining. And then Dodd says take your finger and poke them in.
Could do that too. You want me to video that, don't you, Dodd?
Yeah, that would be a good video.
But yeah. So we're setting up a new yard. We've got another pollination contract, so we're setting up a new yard for that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I've got to figure out a way to sell bees or do contracts because I'm not making any honey. That's been really bad so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt, for that about the roller cages and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking for about 15 to 1,700 pounds of honey this year. We've had that good of a flow. So
I
that's
hope I
gonna
can,
be
if I can get 1,500 pounds, I'll be real happy.
that's a lot of honey to process too.
My problem is now that's a pretty current picture right there behind me. And there are those first 4 highs are my best highs. And I'm like, I think they're all about the same height right now.
Well, the ones down there at the other end, they're 1, 2, those last 5 down there. They don't look like they're slouching too much.
Nah, they ain't got 4 to 5 supers of honey on there though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The other ones down through there, some of them are queenless. I think, pretty sure they are. And
They ought to be making plenty of honey then.
well, I put all my over Saturday. I put all my what do you call it? Drawn wax honey supers on.
Yeah.
If I put anything else on now, it's going to be for foundation. So,
Yep.
I've been pulling the deep boxes out. I pulled another deep box out of the mix, and I got one more. I think I got to pull out. And the nukes have been built, building comb, making honey for me,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. That's what I did a lot. Oh yeah, let's see. I went through the partial box of frames that I had here. I went through one of the boxes I bought from you this
Yeah.
week. I'm on my third on the second box now of frames.
Hmm.
And a lot of them nukes, you just drop them 5 frames, you come back about 7 or 8 days later, 10 days later, and they've got it drawn out and they're filling.
Yep.
Either with brood or um, a lot of it's honey, which is fine with me. Locust is done with. Poplars in bloom.
Yep. Poplar's gonna be around a while.
I hope so, because all this rain is coming. So
Yep.
that's the biggest downfall on what I got going on. But like I say, I went through them Saturday and partially on Sunday, and I don't know. I need to get into these big tall hives. They're getting so darn big that actually I had to go to Home Depot. There was one of them so darn tall. I had to get a 16-foot strap to strap it.
Yeah. Pretty soon they're gonna be tall enough where your hive lifter's not gonna lift them.
I'm getting to that point right now. Or they can lift them. They can lift them, but they're getting kind of, they got them on my high lifter. You got them bars sticking up. Well, they're all the way up to the top of them bars there, support bars. I need to take a bottom super off the bottom. I'm gonna and check and see whether it's all capped. And if it is, I'm gonna have to set my extraction line up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And start extracting and kind of knock things back down a little bit.
Yep.
So
There's nothing wrong with pulling early. Nothing wrong with it at all. As long as you can get in there without getting, too much of a turmoil in the apiary. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'd like to have that problem.
That's not a problem.
I tell you what, Phil, you come up here and I'll let you pull my honey. How about that?
All right. Can I tell people it's mine if I actually take it off of your hives?
Say what?
Can I tell people it's mine if I just take it off of your hives?
No. I'll give you a box, though.
Yeah, I harvested this honey.
Yeah.
So sure, honey, I harvested. I pulled it off myself.
Yeah.
And then I handed the guy a bunch of money for it.
Yeah. We all got to make a living somehow, right?
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of disappointed folks around here if my bees don't keep going.
Well, the weather this year has been so screwed up.
Yeah. I blamed it on the weather last year with too much rain, but I don't think I can do that this year. Sure what to blame it on. The wildflowers down at the farm hadn't been nearly as good the last 2 years as they were the year before that.
Yeah. Maybe we need some fertilizer on them.
I'm not fertilizing. That's just awful. Last year, around the 1st of June, the mesquite went crazy, and now we still got a chance, but I'm looking at them. I'm not seeing even small tassels on most of it. I don't think it's going to be like it was.
Kirk, are you getting warm up there where you're at?
Well, we were getting warm, and now we're going to get cold again.
Yeah, it's got out there this evening. I could have used a jacket. We were loading.
Yeah, today was in the low 60s.
That's what it's supposed to be tomorrow. Well, it's 63 right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much for the rest of the week.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
just north of us, they're talking snow, up in New Hampshire, Vermont area.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that has a family. His family has a farm in South Dakota. He told me I could take bees up there. We'd go up there and we'd go fishing and all that stuff.
That'd be good hunting ground up there.
You
I
take
don't
the
think
bees
I'm ready to
fishing?
do that this year.
Well, they got the sand hills up there. I think they call them.
That's what it is.
It's a lot of yellow clover and that kind of stuff out there, I think.
Yep.
I think they have pretty good flow that starts around the 1st of June. Goes on through probably through August.
I don't know.
Clay said he got over 2,000 pounds. I wish I could have got that last year.
Who did?
Clay
Clay
did.
got 2,066 pounds last year.
That's great. I wish I could do that. I only got like 880 in the spring, and I got another 200 or so in the fall.
Yeah, it was 84 here today. I thought it felt pretty good for a change. So
I don't think we got quite that hot.
The other thing
We
we're
didn't
getting-
have the heat. We had a lot of wind.
I was
yeah,
just
we
gonna
had wind
say,
too.
the wind has been crazy here.
We
Yeah.
had a lot of wind and it was drying the hay pretty decent, but the hay was kind of gummy.
It
And,
was.
Yeah, a little bit on the gummy side.
Yeah.
And the moisture meter was running around 12, which is not bad. 12,
No, that's not bad at all.
12, 13, sometimes 14, but I think it'll keep. It was some thin stuff that my son cut. He wanted to get that in while we get it dry. He cut it. It took it, it'd been down for 3 days. So get the rest of it done tomorrow, hopefully, and wait for the next window.
Yeah. So how big a round bales you make?
I think they're 46.
Okay.
46 or 48, 4 by 46, I think it is 44, 45. Yeah, 46.
That ain't bad.
Well, you got to have these horse women. They ain't got nothing to move them with. So they got to be able to roll them around by hand
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. He started out here about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm going to make them 50 some inches in diameter. And I said, well, you got to remember something. I said, if you make them like 46, then you can get 2 of them in an 8-foot truck and you can be able to close the bed most cases. So we started, I think 4 years ago or so. He started out at 50 some inches, and then the next year it was 48, and the next year it was 46, back down to where we had it to begin with. I said, you got to be like Mr. Hershey when the Hershey candy bars, you make a smaller chocolate bar, but you charge the same price.
There you go.
More
money in your pocket.
Well, some guys one time one guy come in here when I was baling. Well, they're 4-foot bales. I said, yeah. Well, I go over here to so and so's place. I said, yeah, you buy a 5-footer, about 2 ton, And I says, how you gonna move it? You got a tractor? No. Well, I said, I got people that, they don't have all that stuff.
There you go.
So
Yeah, if you get much over 46, you got to have a tractor because 46 by 48 bale is about 750 pounds.
yeah, you can kind of roll it and manipulate it.
Yeah, you can
And
move
they
it around.
come in here, today, all the trucks are, a whopping 6 foot long, whoopee do, or they come in with a couple trailer or a dump trailer or stuff like that.
Or a little small lawn and garden trailer.
Yeah, they'll come in to get that too.
Yeah.
So they can't, they don't have the weight capacity,
Yep.
So I don't know. Jimmy said he sold 1,200 round bales last year. So and that's his and everybody else's. So anyway, he had he's hooked up with another guy that's he's pretty big hay guy. Say him and his friend, he said, let me bring up my new tedder. He's got a 12-star tedder.
Yeah.
You know, it's smaller baskets, you know, I don't know what the actual coverage is and all that stuff. And I'm like, whatever, you know, we got a 6 that's plenty good enough for what we doing. You can get too big. So what else you doing, Philip? Anything?
No, that's pretty much it. Just going to move those bees and just trying
What's
to,
that? Move them out to the farm or?
no, they're, I have like 8 colonies at a friend's house, and his neighbor decided she didn't want cows on her land anymore. She wants bees. So I worked a deal to put some bees on her land. So it's really like one contract. It's just like the contract I have is bigger because I feel if I can access it off of their driveway, the beehives off of their driveway, then I'll price it as though it's one big contract and y'all can split it. So that's what we worked out. They built a gate, or they actually uncovered a gate that was already there and cleaned up a spot for me to. He sent me the check.
What do they get out of it? Or what, you know, what's the contract about?
They get to keep their ag exemption for their taxes.
Yeah.
So they get to use ag evaluation for their taxes, which is, you know, not even a tenth of what it would be. It saved them. It probably saved them. That paid me right around $3,000, and that saved them at least $10,000 in taxes. I don't know what people. I mean, she actually owned those 2 cows that were on out there. She was tired of them. You know, the cows are getting into stuff and tearing up the flower beds and stuff like that.
That and poor fencing and all. Don't
Yeah,
keep up.
they were getting out at times, and then she'd have to go get them.
She'd rather get stung.
I guess so. He's got 7 acres, so he does have like 2 houses on it. So I don't know what the city does for her. But the way it works around here is if you have between 5 and 20, it's 20 or 25 acres, you can put bees on your land, and it's just like having cows or goats or anything. And if you have a house on it, they make you pay full value on 1 acre of the property. So if you wanted to keep bees on there and you had a house, you'd have to have six total acres to be able to qualify.
Right.
Anything less than that, you got to pay full value on your taxes.
Yep.
So my land, I have an ag exemption, but I have cows on mine at the farm. I'm thinking about subdividing it or replatting it so that I have 20-acre plots. I have 4 plots now, a total of 116 acres, but I could do 5 plots at an average of 20 acres and just do the bees and not have to worry about the cows.
There you go.
But I'd have to pay a surveyor, you know, probably $4,000 or $5,000 to come out there and reset everything, which is cheaper than building a fence, that's for sure. And I need to rebuild some fences.
Right. And that's out at the farm, you said?
Yeah, that's down at my farm.
So who's running the cattle?
My neighbor,
Somebody,
my next door neighbor has cows.
so are they out there just free ranging?
Yeah. He keeps them. Theoretically, he'd keep them on my land half the time, but I don't think he puts them on there half the time. He just moves them from his. He has about 50 acres, and you know, and he keeps them on that most of the time. he was going to increase the size of his herd because he had my place to put them on, but I don't think he ever did.
Is there any grass?
Oh my goodness, there's tons of grass.
I didn't know. No, you don't get a whole lot of rain.
We get lots of rain in the spring, and usually in the wintertime too. Our dry period is usually from it quits raining about June 1st, and the rain comes back usually in October.
Huh. Hmm.
We get
Guys, I'll
we
see you
average.
later.
Yeah, I think.
Kurt.
And I think we average 31 inches for a year of rain.
Right.
It's not a lot, but it's enough. It's not desert.
I got 2 inches last week.
We sometimes will get 20 in 1 week. But
Yeah, we had a little over 5 last week.
now, when I lived in Louisiana, I think their average rainfall was 41 inches.
Wow,
But
that's a lot of rain.
I think Todd out there, doesn't he get like 10 or so?
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
he gets some very little.
Yep. Mm.
Yeah, 1 week at the farm, it rained 22 inches in like 3 days or something. And it was washing out railroad tracks and everything else. It was crazy.
Wow. So you got a creek running through the land for water source?
Yeah, kind of a dry. I guess you'd call it a dry creek. It has water in it sometimes, but
Yeah, it's a wet weather creek.
yeah, but it'll definitely just be a flood at certain times.
Oh yeah. Well, at least you got some source of water there.
Well,
You don't have,
I got a couple of ponds on there. So.
well, that's good. Yeah, we got 3 ponds here on the farm. 2 of them are spring fed. The other one's a runoff pond. So
Our ponds they say it's spring fed, or maybe I say it's groundwater fed, but it does go down. It goes down slower, and it takes longer to fill up. It doesn't have just natural. It doesn't have nothing cheap drains into it. But right now, it's just totally full, which is good. We want them to be full this time of year so we can get through August, September.
yeah. That's not a bad thing.
I would like to improve a little bit and make those ponds bigger, but it'd take a lot of work.
Well, we're hoping to put 25 head of cattle out here next year. So means I got to build some temporary fence.
Who's gonna manage them?
You're looking at him.
Really? Have you ever dealt with them? I don't know if I deal with cows.
Yeah, I grew up dealing with cattle, beef cattle. So,
I've been wanting to kind of look into getting into it, but I wouldn't know where to start.
beef cattle is expensive right now. So you got to watch your local markets. See what they're going for per hundredweight. So
Yeah, my neighbor only runs like 15 head,
yeah.
but he was going to increase it by like 10, but he never did. His bull got old and lame, so he had to get another bull, and I think he's still waiting to see if that was going to. He got a young one.
Yeah.
Okay, good night, Norman. Hope you're
Hi,
lucky.
Norman. Good luck.
Hope you're lucky.
I must have missed something.
There you go, Phil.
Going to go hit on the hot chick in the next room. All right, Norman, good deal.
Well, it's after 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And ended up being, I think, a pretty good chat tonight. So, next Monday, I'm going to try to get the rep from Hive Live on here so you guys can ask questions and whatever. Embarrass him if you want to. It's up to you. He's here for y'all's enjoyment next Monday night. So, you guys have a good week. I will see you Friday night on Charlie's channel. And keep the bees happy and healthy. Good night.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Good night, everybody.